Test it out. Oh, we're live on Instagram.
Okay. We have a live studio audience.
Dave, the man over there. You gotta go like
That's
this.
me. Oh, you're over there? Yeah. Pulling me off.
All right, well, let's get it started off. Welcome, everybody. I have a bad echo, so be patient with me here as we get through this. And I have a big streak in my face from the light, so trial and error here, folks. Give us a break here. My name is Patrick Montgomery. As you can see on the screen, I am the CEO and founder of Innovative Selling Partners, or ISP Group. And today we are joined by Dave Nikinen at Midwest Title. We are at Smoky's Fine Cigars in Bloomfield Hills. It's our go-to place for cigars in Michigan. And we spend a lot of time here during the weekday and on the weekends getting great fine cigars. And today we're kicking off the launch of our Cigars and Sales, a live webinar on LinkedIn. We're streaming on multiple platforms, including YouTube and Instagram today. And we wanted to have a great conversation, not only about sales and business, but also about cigars and Smokies and the community. And Dave Nikinen here, along with Midwest Title, learn a little about him today and his business and what he's doing in his sales process to really crush their industry and market. So we'll touch on those items as well. But first, I really want to get it kicked off by talking with the owner of Smokies in Bloomfield Hills Township. We are actually at Woodward and Square Lake right now. We do have a live studio audience here. Pretty exciting time. But I do want to introduce Paul Essa, who is the owner of Smoky's Fine Cigars. So everybody, this is Paul Essa. How you doing? What do you want to tell us a little about Smoky's Fine Cigars?
Well, I'd like to tell you that we've been in business for over 35 years, and right at this point, I just sort of like Woodward, gone through several transformations from a large store to a small store back to a new remodeled store. Basically, we've
There you go.
Hold on 1 second, folks. Sorry about that. Thanks for your patience.
No worries at all. Great now.
All right, so we're looking at the new state-of-the-art golf simulator here with Paul Essa from Smoky's Fine Cigars. What do you want to tell us about the golf simulator, Paul?
So it's a semi-private room that's rented out by the hour. You don't need to be a member to use it. And it's ventilated. It's got a bar area where you can sit and relax and high-speed phone charging. But the main thing is it's ventilated where you can smoke your cigars. And to my knowledge, it's the only simulator in the state that you can smoke in.
It's great, yeah. And we come here most Sundays. It's a beautiful place and great to see.
Another lounge area back here.
Another back lounge area with more TVs, more community. Thank you so much. Why don't we go through the
Show the
humidor?
lockers too.
Oh.
These are our lockers for rental.
Lockers for Dave's, folks.
Yeah.
And now we're lucky enough to have Paul take us through the humidor, and he's going to suggest a couple fine cigars for us to smoke while we are doing the live stream today. All right, beautiful.
Our state-of-the-art humidor. We probably have over 1,000 brands. Yard humidification. It's adjusted and checked daily. Every brand that's worth carrying, we have. We're a Davidoff appointed merchant dealer. Opus X, Padron, Ashton, just to mention a few.
And I got to piggyback on that. You know, I'm somewhat of a cigar connoisseur or aficionado, and this is the only place I buy my cigars. They're the best cigars in town, the best selection, and the best prices. These guys are a wholesaler as well for other cigar shops in the area, correct?
We have some golf.
So what would you recommend today for us?
So I'm thinking the Avo Legato, which is a very mild, creamy Dominican cigar. I knew Avo personally. It's one of my all-time favorite cigars. It's a brand extension of Davidoff, and I've been to the plantation and to the factories. And after knowing Avo for 30 years, we really, really support his brand wholeheartedly. And this is what I recommend for a mild to medium creamy cigar.
And Dave will be getting the creamy.
Dave, you're gonna love it.
And where are those factories at?
A Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. Correct.
Davidoff, Avo, Zeno, Griffin's, all Dominican Republic.
Great. And Paul, you know me, I like full flavored Toros. What would you recommend for me today? I have my go-to cigars, the Foundation, typically.
You know what? We're stepping it up today for you, man.
Oh, okay.
Full flavored Toro. I don't know if you've smoked it.
Whoa. I'm on a budget, buddy. What do
You're fine. You're fine. We're going to pick out a Davidoff limited reserve Millennium, all Dominican with a little bit of Nicaraguan, the Millennium blend. It's very, very bold, very, very refined, I should say. Absolutely magnificent. Not for the faint of heart.
That would be me, folks. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Paul. And we may have some questions later on in the live stream here.
We're here.
We'll be
Customers going in and out, but it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll be chatting it up over here. How about that, folks? That was great. This is literally the go-to spot in Metro Detroit. We spent a lot of time here. Spent a lot of money here, which is good. Supporting the community. And got some good laughs on that one. But all right, let's get in. I'm going to talk about cigars. First of all, we got to.
I'm going to go put our cigars. Dave's going to talk to you for a minute while I do that, and then we'll light them up.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is exciting to be here at one of my favorite cigar places. So we're going to talk today about a really, really exciting industry, the title industry. And I said that with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek because a lot of people think it's an incredibly boring industry, but I happen to enjoy the industry. And we're going to talk about we're going to talk about how we thought about building a business in 4 years that is one of the leading title agencies in the state of Michigan, and how we're looking forward to expanding that company throughout the nation. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today with the title business.
Great. Thanks for kicking us off, Dave. Really appreciate it. I am so lucky to have this David off today. Give it up to Paul, guys. So Dave gave you a little introduction on Midwest Title. We're going to talk a little about sales today. Just to kind of re-kick us off today, again, my name is Patrick Montgomery, CEO and founder of Innovative Selling Partners, or ISP Group. What we do, real quick, is we work with our customers to diagnose and fix systemic business challenges related to their sales efforts and their sales teams, really to shorten sales cycles, increase close rates and revenue with immersive sales training and development methodologies and processes. That was a mouthful, but a little out of breath here. You got to forgive me. We just took a tour of the whole place. But no, we're really grateful to have Dave join us today. Dave is the president of Midwest Title in Michigan. They're one of the premier title agencies here in Michigan, and I'm really grateful to have him. Everyone give Dave a good round of applause. All right. Yeah, so I do want to talk a little about, get an overview, a little more in-depth overview of Midwest Title, kind of your vision, your mission going forward, kind of what makes you guys tick, and some of your goals for the near future.
Yeah, so the title industry is a business that stands between real estate agents generally, or mortgage brokers, and buyers and sellers of real estate. So we're kind of the intermediary. I view it as we kind of grease the wheels of commerce and get transactions closed. So although the parties we're issuing title insurance to are generally real estate agents, our customers are generally real estate agents or brokers. It's a business where we have the opportunity to gain customers through shortening the time period between getting an order and closing an order. So it's an interesting business for us, and one that we've been able to grow pretty quickly in the past 4 years.
Great. So, Dave, thanks for that. I really appreciate that. You guys are big. It looks like you're having some lagging issues. Are you still connected? Or make sure that you can connect to my Wi-Fi if you have to. Yeah, you're disappeared on my end. Is it? Try to connect to, should be iPhone. You can use that one if you need to. Excuse us, folks. We're having a few technical challenges. That should just be iPhone. Try it again. It should just be iPhone. Brief hold, folks. We're having a few technical challenges. Thank you for your patience. This is our first one, so this is going to be a monthly broadcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. So we definitely will have a better process to ensure we get around some of these challenges on the future. Working on those, the Wi-Fi, James. Thanks for joining, James. Or Mike, I should say. Here, let me. Just go up.
Oh. One quick, got to get Dave back on the internet here, guys. Sorry about that. All right, I think we're almost there, guys. Thank you. We're not doing bad on time. You might have to rejoin, though. All right, I think he's back. Guess who's back?
Back again.
All right, so getting back to Midwest Title LLC, Dave, what inspired you to enter the title industry? I see. I know we've been friends for probably 10 years. I've known you for a long time. Been business associates for a shorter period. I know you're a lawyer. You went to law school. How did you end up in the title industry?
So here's a truth that a lot of people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about in the practice of law. It grinds you down and it chews you up and it can spit you out. And I've been a real estate lawyer for 25 years and decided that it was time for me to make a change in my profession. And I met some clients who were interested in starting a title company, and they wanted to start it with me. And it was time for me to take that risk in my life and start.
When did you guys form?
We organized in May of 2019. Really started operations in August of 2019. So we've been. And in that time, we've grown from doing 1 or 2 transactions a month to, on average, over 100 transactions a month.
Wow. I'd consider that exponential growth. You guys have been around for a pretty short time. Looks like you're frozen on my end. Let me just.
Yeah, 2 miles. We're 1 mile east of
Let me give us a second here.
No, we're still up. County goes to the Clinton.
Well, you want to come on my screen? We can just stand by each other.
Yeah, are we any better?
Yeah, no, you're still frozen.
Okay, so let me come out.
So we're just we're in the same room here, so we're just gonna have Dave step over here. Got my lucky shirt on today, guys. Metallica. Sexy.
So the question is whether you can be able to hear me. Can you hear me?
I don't know.
You can't hear me.
You can just get off that and we'll go on mine.
It's not working. Okay.
Just stay off audio. We'll stay on mine.
Sure.
So yeah, you guys have experienced exponential growth since 2020. You got through the COVID period, formed your business, and you started to grow with over 100 clients, you said?
100 orders a month now.
100 orders a month. That's fantastic. And what do you attribute some of that growth to?
So our business is primarily repeat customers. So there's really 2 steps in our sales process, right? Well, 3 steps. One is we have to identify potential customers.
Okay.
And the second is we have to convince them to give us a try. And the third one, which is crucial really to me for any sales, you have to do a good job.
You do.
And if you're not doing a good job, it doesn't matter how good your sales process is. If the performance doesn't match the sales process, then what you've done really is burned a lead. You haven't got a new customer. So if we do a good job for our customers, they're all repeat customers by the nature of our business. So our growth is incrementally building relationships, getting the first order, doing a good job on that order, and then getting repeat business.
Sure.
So the nice part of that formula is as long as we do a good job on the business, once we get the first order, we're going to get repeat business.
Exactly.
So the goal is be better than anybody else. and be able to service them better than they've ever had any other title company service them before, and you're going to get repeat business. The back end of it is probably harder than the front end because there's a lot of bad title companies out there. If we're a good title company, we will get repeat business. So our goal was to learn to crawl, learn to walk, and learn to run.
Sure.
Right. So we had to learn how to crawl and walk before we really went out there and tried to win business, because if we went out there and tried to win business with our existing relationships before we were able to service that business, we were just wasting our time.
Yeah.
So we had to be good at what we were doing. And that's a little different in a service business than in a business that's based on manufacturing a product, right? You either have a better product or you don't. In a service business, you can constantly refine your processes, constantly get better. But if you don't have a baseline of being good up front, it's just not going to work.
Now, is that typically in the deployment stage when you're implementing your services, or is it ongoing, like customer success, service, and support?
Right. So our business model is, or our business process is, we check our egos at the door, right? So if we
Ego check, everybody.
if we are doing something not well, we want to hear about it. And even if it's an existing customer that wants us to do something better, we need to hear about it, because as much as we may try and sit in our customer's shoes and understand what they need, the person who's in the best position to tell you what they need is the customer, not you. So anybody who's trying to tell the customer what they really need and why you're going to do it better is going about it the wrong way, in my view. That you need to work from the customer's standpoint, customer centric. Figure out what the customer wants and needs, and then provide that to them. If you're just going in with some cookie cutter solution that has worked for your other customers, it may not work for them.
Sure. And I think you pointed it out. There are two elements. There's the product and then the sales process.
Right.
But there's also a third kind of component, which is penetration into the account and customer success.
Right.
And what are you guys doing to implement sales methodologies and practices into that customer success element of your business?
So one of the things that we try and do is there's two steps to the process for us, or two ways I look at it. One is, in order to win new business, what I try and do is identify the pain point that the customer has. They wouldn't be talking to us if they didn't have a pain point with their current service provider. Figure out what that pain point is and solve that problem. Sometimes it's process, and sometimes it's our ability to be innovative with the services that we provide. We're in the insurance business, so we have certain restrictions on what we can do. However, we can solve problems because we're more creative, perhaps, than other title companies, title agencies that are out there. That's on the front end. On the back end, the way we differentiate ourselves is we try and be a value add, right? Okay. So we provide services that other title companies don't provide at no cost to our customers, which in the short run is going to impact our profit margin.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I'd rather have 80% of a big number than 100% of a much smaller number.
Sure, that's a good point. And I think a lot of companies, not just in the title industry or insurance industry, play that real short game where they're closing a lot of business, like you guys.
Right.
But they're not really paying attention to the customer's pain, their need, and really being strategic and having a good process to penetrate that customer. I know you guys are huge on relationships,
right?
And you guys aren't really just trying to close as many deals as you can possible. So what are you guys doing to build relationships and keep that long-term relationship with your customer?
So one of the things that I think a lot of people overlook is the value of saying no. Okay. Right? So if a customer comes to you, and not every title agency is able to satisfy every need, or it has a particular niche that works for every customer. If they come to you with a particular need and you're not the right fit, and there's another company out there that can fit that, and it may be now, or it may be that they're always going to fit that better, saying no helps build that customer relationship and the confidence, because they know you're not just out to get every dollar out of the customer that you can. You're trying to look out for their well-being as well as your bottom line, but they know that at the end of the day, you're looking out for their well-being. So, when I practiced law, I always told clients that the best way to know that your attorney was giving you good advice is when that advice was not in your attorney's best interest, right? So telling you litigation's not the best solution here. I'd make a lot more money if we sued somebody, but that may not be the best solution for the client, right? And ethically, I had an obligation to make sure that I was looking out for the client's best interest. I've kind of carried that forward in the title industry. I may be giving advice that's not in my best interest as the owner of a title agency, but it's in the customer's best interest. And the best way to build a long-term relationship with a customer is to know that you're always looking out for the customer's best interest, even when it may not be in your short-term financial interest.
Sure. And we got to kind of scope that out and map that out with the customer. Sometimes the question can be no, and that's a very valuable point to make to the customer. Sometimes we may need to guide them to ask the different question. Right. Maybe they're asking the wrong question. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're asking for the wrong thing. We got to guide them and steer them towards what we can do for them to provide the most value for them.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's really, a lot of it is managing the customer's expectations, but also managing that what may be a short-term pain for them may be long-term gain for them, right? Sure. So sometimes you're saying yes when they want you to say no, but long-term that yes is the right answer for them. And sometimes you're saying no when it's short-term, it's the wrong answer for you. But you have to make sure that your interests are always aligned, or you're going to end up ruining a long-term relationship. And that's something we just won't do, is ruin a long-term relationship because the lifetime value of that customer to us is worth way more than one short transaction.
Well, let me ask you this. When you have a competitor come in to a potential long-term relationship, trying to undercut you guys with pricing, what are some strategies you guys are implementing to kind of help that customer along the way to provide the best value for that customer?
Yeah, so it really goes back to the entire customer relationship. Sure. So if someone's trying to undercut you on price, which happens a lot in our business.
Sure, yeah.
You have to make sure that you have done the hard work to establish that relationship and customer service throughout the prior transactions, so that when they come to you on a particular transaction, say, hey, this title company is willing to close this for a closing fee of X and you're at Y. So you need to explain to them the reason they can do it for X instead of Y is because they're not providing all of the customer service that we have provided to you in the past, and we're going to continue to provide to you. So I hate to say you get what you pay for, but sometimes you get what you pay for. And, we're a very labor-intensive business, right? So if someone's cutting you short on a fee that they're charging, there's really only one place that fee is coming out of, and that's labor, which means they're spending less money servicing you with their employees, which means you're going to get worse customer service.
Sure. A lot of times it comes back to what's most important to the customer. Are there situations you have where you can give low-end pricing and you're not too conscious about that customer relationship?
Yeah, I feel like in our business, there's the old line that the way you this is more true back in college, but the way you get a girlfriend is the way you're going to lose a girlfriend. If she's cheating on you, then you're going to lose her by her cheating on you again, right? If you get her because she's cheating on her first boyfriend with you. If someone's coming to you over price, they're going to leave you over price.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If you win business based on price, you're going to lose business based on price.
And that's why it's critical to qualify customers on the front end deeply and really educate your customer through some of these challenges.
Yeah, so one of the benefits that we have is that we're a customer relationship business and a service business that also deals with people who deal with customer relationships and in service businesses. So we deal with real estate agents, we deal with mortgage brokers, commercial mortgage brokers, commercial real estate agents. All of those people are constantly having people trying to undercut them on price, on commission. So I think they're a little more aware of the fact that if someone's trying to undercut you on price, that may not be the customer you want. Yep. So if we are prospecting, talking to potential customers, and we find out that the first thing out of their mouth is price, that's probably a red flag that their interests may not be aligned with your interests.
Yeah.
That there may not be a relationship that's based on the same core values as a business that you want to have.
Sure. That makes sense. Core values is huge.
Right.
And I think customer sales, a sales element and process through that customer experience is very important.
Right.
Right. So I know you guys are expanding
Yeah.
in more states than just Michigan. We're in Michigan, folks. And can you speak to some of the kind of corporate or I would say regulatory minutia that you go through to kind of land some of these larger deals in kind of a multi-state strategy?
Yes. So again, we're in Michigan. Michigan happens to be the headquarters of two of the largest mortgage lenders in the country, Rocket Mortgage and UWM, which is not a brand name that people know, but they're the largest, what's called a wholesaler. So they buy loans from mortgage brokers.
You know them if you're in Michigan.
You know them if you're in Michigan. You know them if you're in Phoenix, probably too, because they're your owner of the Phoenix Suns is the owner of UWM. Because of that, we have a lot of spin-off businesses that are what I'll refer to as mortgage call centers. Okay, so they're mortgage brokers who operate nationally, but from Michigan. Those mortgage brokers want to use one title company for all their deals, for efficiency and for relationships. And they know that if I send 20 deals to a title agent, I'm going to get better service than if I send one deal to a title agent. At least that's what they believe. So we need to be everywhere that those customers want us to be. That means we have to be able to issue title insurance in Michigan, in Florida, in Ohio, in Colorado. Every state that they want us to be in, we need to have a solution for them. We'd like the solution to be that we are licensed and appointed in those states so we can issue the title insurance directly. There's certain cases where we have to work through partners to get that solved for them. But we do that, not them, right? So we're the one single solution for them. So our nationwide expansion has been driven by our customers telling us what they need.
Right.
And what they need is one source throughout the nation. Now, because we're a regulated business, that means I have to be licensed in each of those states. That means our company has to be licensed in each of those states. That means we need to understand the differences in title insurance law in 20 states right now. That's a lot of work to do, but we do all that work so that we're able to serve the customers because the customers have told us that's what they want. So, I may not be a sales genius, but I do know one thing. When a customer tells you, I need you to be in Ohio, you go get licensed in Ohio.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Because what they're really telling you is, I want to give you more business. If someone's telling you, I want to give you more business, my solution is, I better find out how I can handle that business. So that's what's driving our national expansion.
Well, you might not be a sales genius, but you're president of a large title agency company in Michigan, so I would almost beg to differ. You, by proxy, you have to be good at sales, and you guys do a lot of good work, kind of getting people in to help with some of those strategies. So, I applaud you for that. Now, seeing as that you guys are expanding into kind of a multi-state business and strategy, can you share an example of some of the successful strategies you've successfully implemented in some of these other states where you have to get through some of this really intense regulatory minutia?
Yeah. So again, the one thing that I've learned is that the most important thing, I'm going to sound like Don Rumsfeld here, former Secretary of Defense. I need to know what the unknowns are. And what we didn't know when we first started out is, how do I get licensed in those states? So, we're a title insurance agency, which means that we are essentially representing multiple title insurance companies that actually issue the title policies. Those title companies, much like us, we don't have business without mortgage brokers and real estate agents. They don't have business without us sending them title policies, right, that we've issued on their behalf. So when we say to them, we'd like to be operating in 20 states, but we don't know how to, it's in their best interest to help us figure that out. And there's a regulatory solution that we figured out that allowed us to very quickly go from being licensed in one state to being licensed in 20 states in 1 year. Because we asked the right questions. We want to give you more business. How can we do that? And they led us through the regulatory kind of tricks that allowed us to get licensed much more quickly in multiple states, because they know, again, it's just like a customer. They know that we do a good job. They know that we look out for their interests. So it's in their best interest to have us operating in multiple states, because they know we're going to send them quality insurance policies that aren't going to lead to claims, because that's the business we're in. We're trying to issue policies that don't lead to claims for our underwriters, and we do that by doing a good job technically.
Sure.
So they want us to be expanding, because they know that the more business we have, the better off they're going to be.
Okay, great. Yeah. So seeing as that most of your business seems to be referrals and inbound kind of sales, right? Can you speak to a little bit about the outreach you guys are doing to attract new customers and to bring new customers in as an outbound initiative?
Yeah, so we have a couple of kind of outbound initiatives that we operate on. One is much more, again, relationship based, right? So all three of the partners in our company have multiple different relationships that could be potential customers. As we grow organically and we grow systematically, we're slowly bringing those potential customers into our sales process, because we don't want to overwhelm our sales process and get too big too fast and not be able to do a good job, right? So we could be twice the size we are right now if we wanted to, but then we would very quickly go down to zero, because we wouldn't do a good job at twice the size we are.
Sure.
We need to grow into that twice the size. So we slowly add our existing relationships, right? That's one thing. The second thing is, as we do, a lot of our sales growth is organic, because one thing that's unique, at least in Michigan, about the title insurance business is you generally have two title insurance agencies involved in a transaction, one representing the buy side, one representing the sell side. As we do those deals, my people deal with the agents on the other side, and we will not poach business from other title companies. That's not who we are. That's not how we operate. But people will ask to do business with us after they experience our service versus their existing title company's service. So organically, as we do a deal, people go, wait, why am I using my title company when I could be using this title company that's doing a better job? That's kind of organic growth that we're gaining through. Just as we grow, we deal with more people. The more people we deal with, the more people who want to do business with us. Kind of organic growth. We do have some drip campaign type stuff where we reach out to people. We think that's important because we need to be top of mind when people, we're looking for the opportunity to do business with new people. Sometimes that is very systematic in that you're working a relationship and building it and building it and building it. Sometimes, to be perfectly frank, it's happenstance. They get a deal in front of them. They happen to have just gotten a drip campaign email from you the day before, and they go, you know what, I'm going to send this over to Dave because I know Dave, and I just got his email. We're not going to lose out on that business by not engaging in that sort of systematic.
So that's interesting. That comes in from drip campaign. That we would consider that still a bit of inbound, if you will, or kind of a web lead, if you will. So at that point, take us through your sales process from a web lead coming in from a drip campaign all the way to a closing. What's your current process?
So our current process, honestly, is the person will call us up, and generally they have a relationship with one of the three owners, or they wouldn't be calling us, right? Okay. So they'll call me up and say, hey, I got this new deal. Can I talk to you about it? We talk about it. If they're looking for a new relationship, it's probably because either they've got a pain point with their existing title company, or there's something unique about this transaction that they think we might be best suited for. And that's because of my 25 years of experience as a real estate lawyer. They know that a lot of title companies, there's very few that have an on-staff attorney that can understand these things. So if a deal has some hair on it, then they may call me. If I can solve that problem for them, essentially we've won a customer for life. But okay, we solve the legal / title / whatever issue for them, and then we put them in our customer service process, and the customer service process frankly closes the relationship for us.
Then you have a team for customer service.
We have a workflow that works from, each deal works through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different steps in our customer service process from order entry to issuing the title policy. There's 5 different departments in our company that touch it. Each of those will continue building that relationship with the customer, and they'll see this is a company that's got their workflows down, that understands how a process should happen and communicates with us.
Do you guys work through all segments from small and medium sized business to mid market to enterprise?
Yeah, so I would say
strategic?
that the majority of our business, as far as units, is residential real estate closings, refinances, sales.
Okay.
The commercial side of our business, we have a very vibrant commercial services division, and I know it's vibrant because I head it up. But we handle anything from a small $300,000 storefront up to handling $20-25 million warehouse facilities. We've handled all of those transactions. One of the niches that we have, which has also been one of the driving forces behind our national expansion, is we have several customers in the cannabis space, and we're able to handle cannabis transactions because we've done the work to be qualified to not only issue the policies with our underwriters, but also to handle the financial side of the transactions. Sure. Because we've opened up accounts with banks that will do business with cannabis related businesses. We handle transactions nationwide for cannabis businesses, and that's been another driving force because we were able to solve problems. Sure. There are certain title companies that wouldn't touch the money. We solve that problem for them. We can handle the money.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's amazing. So you talked a little about a customer calling in and potentially, saying their current title company is unable to solve a pain point.
Right.
And now they're coming to you. Can you speak to some of these pain points? What are you seeing out there as far as some of the big pain in your customers and why they're coming over to you? And what are some of these challenges and pain points that you're solving for your customers?
Yeah, so they fall into generally 3 different categories. One of them is what I'll call a technical or a legal pain point, where their current title company can't understand because they aren't lawyers and they may only have one underwriter that they represent, can't understand how to solve a tax title issue, a probate issue, a divorce issue. There's a mortgage that wasn't discharged 15 years ago issue. All of those issues are things I can solve with my eyes closed. Okay. There are other title companies that don't have lawyers that are part of their operations that just don't understand how to solve those problems. Or they only have relationships with one title company. That title company may have very strict underwriting guidelines, whereas we have relationships with multiple title companies, all of whom may understand different market segments better than another. So we know where to send those transactions to, and we build relationships with the underwriting attorneys to explain how to solve those legal or technical pain points. Okay. The second one is generally time-based. Their title company's taking too long to get title commitments out. Issuing a title commitment is a long process. It involves searching public records, potentially doing some what I call skip tracing, trying to find people, looking for death certificates, that sort of stuff. A lot of title companies do not have title examiners on staff. We have 2 on staff, and that's a cost to us. But the benefit to that is that our turn times are some of the best in the business because I'm willing to pay the money to solve that pain point for people. Sure. And then the third, and the one that's probably the most common, is just customer service. They're just not getting treated the way they think they should be treated by their existing title company.
Now, I know you have limited bandwidth as the president of the organization, right? Mm-hmm. You're also handling the legal affairs for Midwest Title. Do you guys outsource for legal ever? Or are you guys doing all of that internally and you're taking that on yourself or as your team? Or how are you handling that legal objection?
So I'm the kind of internal underwriter. So if there are items that I can clear as the internal underwriter, that I'm comfortable clearing based on our risk tolerance, then we'll clear it. If there are things that we're required to get underwriter approval for, or we want underwriter approval for, then that's outsourced to what we call underwriting counsel. Each underwriter has a staff of attorneys that work for them, and they'll provide responses to those issues. My goal as the president is to make sure that we consistently show our competence and our technical understanding of things, so that when we send something with a recommendation to underwriting counsel, they're going to take that recommendation because they know we've done the legwork and they know we know what we're talking about.
Sure.
Which again is one of the differentiating factors we have, is we try and build those long-term relationships with underwriting counsel too.
Yeah, and I would personally speak to your relationship building. You're a very nice guy to get along with. He's very zen, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Totally zen.
And I know you are working and living in a very stressful environment in the title agency business. Can you speak to some of the practices you implement in your personal life, and maybe that flows over into your business as well, that you are taking on to keep calm, stay zen in that frantic business environment of title insurance?
So nobody's perfect, right? The most important thing I try
Or
and
everyone's
do,
perfect, actually.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
The most important thing I try and do, because look, I cut my teeth in a very adversarial business, real estate law, and law in general. There's a reason I got out of that business, because I don't like the adversarial nature of that business. I like solving problems for people and allowing them to have success. What I don't like is being adversarial and pointing out the problems. So when there are issues with customers, the first thing you have to do, in my mind, is look at it from the customer's perspective, and how whatever the issue is, we're not perfect as a title company. We make mistakes. We're going to screw files up. The key is stand behind it. So we stand behind our work, and if we make a mistake, we fix it. And if it costs us money, it costs us money, right? That's just how we do business. But it's also, we're pretty comfortable saying the words that a lot of companies and a lot of people aren't comfortable saying, which is, we screwed up.
Yeah.
Owning up. Yeah. So we call that, my law partner and I, because I still have practiced law a little bit, my law partner and I call that ripping the Band-Aid, right? So you pick up the phone and you rip the Band-Aid. And you say, hey, I got to call you. This is not going to be a great conversation for us to have, but we screwed up.
Yeah.
But we're going to fix it. And here's how we're going to fix it. Do not try and avoid responsibility when you make a mistake.
Do you know how important it is to own up to your mistake, not backpedal, and then fix it?
And don't get defensive.
In front of the customer facing, owning up to your mistakes, and then showing a great path of how you can fix it. That's valuable.
Yeah. I also try and do that internally, right? So the most important thing to my employees is I have my door open all the time, literally and figuratively. If someone has made a mistake, and people make mistakes, the most important thing is to get in front of the mistake. So come in and tell me, I think we screwed something up. Because the faster I find out about us screwing something up, the faster I can fix it. Sometimes those issues are monetary. We didn't pay somebody. We didn't send a tax check out. 99.9999% of the things we mess up, we can fix. It may cost us money, but we can fix it. But if you hide the mistake, that's problematic.
And I think it really speaks to culture.
Yeah.
Of how you run your business. Having that open door policy genuinely and authentically for your employees to be able to come in and own up to their own mistakes, knowing they're not going to be fired or there's going to be massive repercussions on them personally is huge.
Right. So we've had situations where, an employee has sent money to the wrong person, a fair amount of money, right?
Wow. Okay.
So they called me thinking basically it was the end of their employment and were crying. But they came to me. We got on the phone, got a hold of the person. He knew it wasn't his money. We got the money back. We fixed the problem. And you know why we were able to fix it? Because the person came to me immediately and said, oh my God, I screwed this up.
Yeah.
If that had waited 2 days later, that money could have been spent. And it wouldn't have been the person's, fault. Like if I have money that pops into my bank account, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go spend the money. So that's why we have an open door policy and we try and solve problems immediately. Anybody who says they don't make mistakes is full of what.
Yeah. Especially as an organization or
Right.
company.
Right.
You know?
And again, like I described our process, we have 5 departments that touch every transaction, and we do 120 transactions a month. That means we've got 600 times that a transaction is touching a department in our company every month. Just by the law of large numbers, there's going to be a mistake there. That's okay.
Yeah.
We just have to address the mistake and fix it. And then we spend some time trying to fix our process to make sure that the mistake doesn't happen again. I'm always fine with somebody making a mistake. I'm not great when someone makes the same mistake.
Or
right?
covers it up.
Or
right?
covers it up. So, and that doesn't mean that if we constantly refine our processes, we're going to get to this moment of utopia where we're not making any mistakes. That's just not realistic.
Well, mistakes are also fertile ground for growth, right? Even into the customer and penetrating deeper into these accounts, right? That opens the door for dialogue and how you can help change for the customer.
Yeah.
To really drive that customer success and support to continue to forge those long-term relationships.
So, I talked earlier about one of the ways to build that relationship with the customers, to tell them I'm not the right person for this. We're the wrong fit. Saying no, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to build that relationship. I will tell you that one of the things we have found is that an almost equally important way to build a relationship is to go to the customer and be honest when you make a mistake and fix the mistake. Customers don't expect perfection. And if they do, that's probably not the right fit of a customer for you. What they expect is somebody who's going to stand behind their work product. So when we make a mistake, we go to the customer and talk about the mistake and fix the mistake. And that builds long-term relationships, because another one of those pain points that we talked about earlier, when, what type of pain points do people come to you with? A lot of times those pain points are, my prior title company screwed something up and they won't fix it.
Right.
We'll fix it.
Yeah. And it really opens the door to other channels in the customer's business.
Right.
Brings other people in potentially. Thanks. Brings other people in potentially. And you might be dealing with an operations officer or someone lower level potentially, and then now all of a sudden you're speaking in front of the CEO, rectifying your mistake, which allows you to open doors and have better conversations with your customer. Would you agree?
Yeah. So one of the things, talking about our national expansion, there's really a second phase to that expansion. Phase one is that we're following our customers into multiple new states. Okay. Phase two is, once we have that larger geographic footprint, then we're going after the bigger fish, right? So we're following the smaller fish into other states, but once we use them to learn how to crawl and walk, then we're going to learn how to run by going after those bigger fish. So that's going to allow us to speak to people at a higher level at big organizations. And the two things that those organizations care about is service level, right? Our turn times and our customer service, and our ability to be stand behind our mistakes. So they want to know that we're large enough to stand behind any potential issues that are created. Just, we're in the insurance business, right? We're not in the guarantee business, right? So even our underwriters know we're in the business to collect premiums and pay claims, and hopefully there's money left over at the end of the day where we have a profit. We're in the business to do the same thing. We know we're going to make mistakes. It's just a nature of the type of business we're in.
And we have had an initiative recently here at ISP where we've really been teaching and showing companies really how to diversify their funnel growth, right? Bringing in large, medium, and small sized customers. And that really speaks to a diverse funnel, right? And now those deals, they trickle down the pipeline, and then they come in and allow you to accurately forecast for the coming months.
Right.
Can you relate with that a bit?
Yeah. So the ability in our business, since we have a lot of repeat customers, is once we get those large and medium and smaller customers in our funnel, it's really easy for us to understand what our potential revenues are going to be in the coming months. We're a seasonal business, at least in the Midwest. there's a selling season for real estate in the Midwest. It's basically March through September. Once we grow our customer base, we're able to predict. I can tell you what our revenues are going to be in March through September of this year based on our existing customer base. Our growth is going to be anybody that we bring in Michigan. So getting those people in allows us the predictability to be able to staff for that future and continue to grow because of the customer service. So having customers of different sizes is really beneficial to us because those different people are going to be impacted by the upturns and downturns in the economy differently. So it's nice to have small and medium and large customers because they're all going to be busier or slower at different time periods.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff. And I know Chris a bit as well.
Yes.
You know, and I know you guys run, Chris Germano is your partner. And I know you guys really run your business as pretty much entrepreneurs. You guys have a real entrepreneurial spirit about your company and the way you run your business to handle your customers with a deep integrated level of customer care and service and support.
Right.
As a budding entrepreneur, what advice would you give to some of these entrepreneurs that are not only starting out in business in general, right? For the solopreneur, the entrepreneur, or people even starting out in the title, you don't have to give all of your secrets away. What advice would you give to some new and upcoming entrepreneurs in your space?
So, when we started out for the first year, we had 3 people, right? Which meant that I had to know and do everything in our company. So if you're growing a business with the expectation that it's going to grow to a medium-sized business, right? It's critical that you know how to do, in my mind, everything in your company from start to finish. Be hands-on. Understand the sales process, the customer service process, every part of the process in your business. When you grow, your time won't be best spent on all those things, but if you don't understand those things up front, as you bring people on to take on those tasks, you're not going to, A, be able to train them up well, and B, understand the issues that they're going to confront as they're operating in the business.
Contractual, legal, paper,
all that stuff.
Yeah. Commercial.
So that's number one. Number 2 is you really need to spend the time to become a subject matter expert. Whatever business you're going to be in, if it's manufacturing, you better know the manufacturing process better than anybody else, because that's what you're going to bring to the table. If it's, drop shipping, you better understand how to
for all you drop shippers out there,
right? You better understand that business better than anybody else. If it's customer service, you better understand when someone calls you up, a processor up in our business, and says, what's up with the taxes on this property? If they don't understand property taxes, they're not going to be able to answer that question. Their job is not to understand property taxes, but they have to understand property taxes in order to do their job.
Sure.
So continuous training, continuous development of your expertise and your subject matter. If you're going to be in the service business, you have to have something that differentiates you. So there's really 2 ways to differentiate yourself. Either you know the business better than the other people, or you charge less. I'm not interested in the second option. I'm interested in the first option. Sure. Because again, if you're getting somebody based on price, you're going to lose them based on price. If you're getting someone based on the fact that you know the business better than anybody else, you're going to keep it because you're going to continue to know the business better than anybody else.
And being a domain expert, like Dave said, but also driving that to educate the customer and help them realize and see where they can realize the most amount of value with your product.
Right. Absolutely. I think that the mistake a lot of people make is short-term thinking, right? And we've talked about this a little bit.
Isn't that the problem with America?
You've got to think about long-term value.
I'm surprised I didn't get any booze.
Long-term relationships, and making sure that you are bringing the value to that customer, so that they're not just I'm not interested in transactional relationships.
Sure.
I'm interested in long-term relationships.
Yeah, you're not just taking orders.
Right.
You're
Right.
building relationships.
If you're just taking orders, you're not involved in the sales business. You're involved in a customer service representative.
I
Right.
agree.
If you're involved in the sales business, you're not looking to sell people. You're looking to solve problems. You can't solve problems unless you understand the business. Because if they come to you with a problem, if you don't understand the business, you don't have any way to solve it.
Yeah.
Right. So first you got to figure out what their problem is, and then you got to be able to solve it. And if you can't solve it, again, circling back, you got to be willing to say, we probably don't have the right fit for you.
Right.
Because you might be the right fit on everything else they need, but if you say yes to the wrong thing, you're going to destroy your relationship.
And I've seen companies over and over again fail at investing in the wrong departments.
Right.
Throughout the organization. They're putting all the money towards customer service, right? Guess what that means? They have horrible customer service, right? They're investing in product. Guess what? They got a lot of stuff to fix on the product end.
Right.
And rarely do you see companies really investing, and this is where I see you guys are winning, is investing in sales process, sales methodology, and really expanding your sales efforts to bring in more revenue and to build more relationships, but also expanding into the sales element of customer success and how you can leverage those methodologies with your customer success and support agents into penetration into the customer accounts.
So we have a saying in our, a couple sayings in our business. One is that we're not in the title business. We're in the customer success business. We just happen to issue title insurance.
Sure.
Right. So our goal is to make sure that our customers are successful. That's number one. Number two is that much like every Ford dealership, we sell black Model Ts. You can get an title insurance policy. I could throw a ball out my office window and hit 5 title insurance companies. Sure. The difference between those companies and us is the customer service department. When you come in, we're going to serve you better.
Yeah.
And that's the differentiating factor that allows us to continue the sales process, because if you don't have the product side down, the service side down, the sales side is really setting yourself up for failure, right? And if you have the sales side, the service side down, the product side down, that is part of your sales process. Having the best.
It's
service.
cherry on the the ice cream if you have a good product.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Give Dave a little chance to light a cigar. If anyone has any questions on LinkedIn, feel free to put it in chat. We can ask Dave some questions here. I have another question for you.
Yep.
And this is pretty important question that I wanted to ask you is how do you guys envision the future of your sales and sales business strategies going forward, looking down the line, 3, 5, 10-year strategies, evolving in the title industry, and more specifically, at Midwest Title, obviously, and especially considering sales training, sales enablement and tools and technology, leveraging those tools for your sales process to generate revenue, to shorten sales cycles?
So far we've been able to kind of bootstrap our sales based on existing relationships. The key to the next part is going to be implementing tools that allow us to leverage our existing relationships and continue building those relationships so that our sales process is much faster. And again, it's kind of a self-fulfilling, it's like a rock rolling downhill, right? Yeah. As we get more customers, then we have more exposure and we have more potential for new customers. So getting that implemented as a process is the next step of our growth, right? It's the next step where we're going to go from good to great. But one thing is sales training. We view sales training as part of our entire process. I view every person in our company as essentially a sales representative for our company, because our sales are based on our customer service. So every single person in our company is tasked with trying to satisfy the customer's needs and find out what else the customer needs.
And that really speaks to that kind of executive alignment piece where you're getting the branding and messaging and process and methodology consistent throughout your entire organization. A lot of times what you see is all of these strategies taking place on an executive level in the C-suite, and then it's funneling down through other departments. And by the time it hits sales, the messaging is all convoluted, messed up, and everyone's doing it differently, right? So as you create kind of that cohesiveness through your entire organization, it allows that direct executive messaging to come out of the sales channels and customer success channels.
Right.
So everyone is on the same page with branding, messaging, process, methodology, right? So if you have everyone, a lot of times you'll see there's a superstar sales guy, he's crushing it. He's got like killing everybody. And then you have a group of mediocre sales guys and then some struggling guys, right? The key to what you said right there really is kind of standardizing the messaging throughout the entire department and creating that kind of standard cohesive process so everyone can elevate their game to that superstar status.
So we don't view it as a top-down, our sales approach, right? I don't view the sales messaging as coming from me. We view it as coming from everybody having an equal part in the sales process.
Sure.
And bottom up as well as top down. So again, since part of our sales process involves customer service, if I don't hear from my people what customer pain points are, we can't fix that and use that as part of our sales pitch to new customers. So it's important that we have everybody on the same page, which is why, we've been really fortunate so far that our culture has been consistent as we've grown pretty exponentially in the past 4 years. The goal, obviously, is to continue making sure that culture stays consistent as we continue to grow. And the bigger you get, the more difficult it gets. But if you haven't established it at a small size, then it's certainly not going to expand to a larger size. That's why we spend a lot of time, I kind of follow the Mark Cuban approach. We hire really slowly. We fire really quickly. We haven't had to fire fast that much. We've been very lucky, but we are not big enough to allow any sort of cancer in our locker room, right? If there's a bad cultural fit, it doesn't matter if they're a superstar employee as far as productivity.
Sure.
If it's a bad culture fit, it's a bad culture fit,
right.
Period. So we need to make sure if we had a superstar salesperson who was excuse my French, a raging asshole, we would have a former superstar salesperson.
And he's probably a raging asshole to your customers also.
Right. We don't have, we're not big enough to be able to hide assholes.
Right. Okay. Well, it's
except me.
Yeah. He's chief asshole over here. No, I'm kidding. So what do you do for fun, Dave? Do you get any time for free time?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd call it fun, but my biggest hobby, if you call it a hobby, is both of my kids were competitive swimmers, right? So my daughter swam in college. My son swam all the way through high school, was the captain of his high school swim team. So I started because I have a touch of ADHD. I could not sit and watch an entire swim meet in the stands. So I started officiating swim meets.
Oh.
So I've officiated swim for 15 years. In the past 3 years, I've been the meet referee for the state championships here in Michigan at high school level.
That's great.
That's basically my hobby. When we're done here tonight, I'm heading over to a high school to officiate a high school swim meet tonight. So
no pickleball or motorcycles?
No. The good news is absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I see much less of my wife, even as an empty nester now. So we still get along.
Okay, great. Well, it's been really great talking to you. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. Dave from Midwest Title Agency in Michigan. What's your website?
www.mwtmi.com. So, we've been really fortunate so far. We're looking forward to continuing to grow our business using Patrick's services here.
Great. Yeah, it's welcome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And with that, you can connect further and join the conversation at innovativesellingpartners.com or on LinkedIn at Innovative Selling Partners. With that, we're signing off. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful day.